Hello and welcome back to the Spooky Sessions, or if you're new here, hello and welcome to what I am calling Evil Month. It's an entire month dedicated to the theme of Halloween, and I'm breaking down each of the 7 deadly sins and what we can learn from each of these 7 deadly sins and how we can apply what is meant to harm us into our life and use it for our good. Because I think most doctors can agree, you're not going to learn about the cure for something without studying the disease. Sometimes you have to have a bad day to know what a good day feels like. Sometimes you have to go through the bad and the dark to understand what's really so good out there and why is it good, and help you understand how to get good. How do you find a cure without bad? So I think it's honestly really important that we dive into these things that are bad and that are evil so we can learn about the opposite. And not only the opposite, but I also believe in finding kind of the middle ground between good and evil, because what is the middle ground? Is the middle ground good, or is it evil, or is it just kind of middle ground and it's a little bit of both, but it's not really one or the other? I think that we all need a little bit of bad and a little bit of good, and more so on the good side than the bad side, but I think we do need a balance. So we're going to dive into a little bit of both and kind of figure out the middle ground here and see what solution we can mix up. So today's topic is gluttony. Typically, gluttony is used as an example when somebody eats way too much food. It's just an overconsumption of food. I believe that gluttony doesn't have to only relate to food. I think you can overindulge on just about anything. Shopping, sleep. You can overindulge on your hobbies, on time with your friends. You can overindulge on literally anything. It's just most commonly used with food, I think, because food is maybe just like one of the easiest things to overindulge on because it's right there. And especially, I think this is true because people have such a hard time feeling fulfilled. And when we feel like we're starving and need fulfillment, I think we most often think of food because it's kind of the easiest answer and it's kind of the most brainless answer to just eat because you're hungry for something. Even if it's not food, you want fulfillment and you just kind of automatically think of food. Some people know what their triggers are, that no, it's shopping. When I'm having a bad day and I am just feeling drained, I just need to go shopping. That is very true. It can happen. But again, there's a reason that the majority of this example is food. I mean, everything in moderation, right? Everything in moderation. As said in The Wizard of Oz, are you a good witch or are you a bad witch? At the end of the day, I kind of think a witch is a witch. There's not really a greater of two evils, no pun intended. But it's kind of like asking a wild bobcat, are you a good bobcat or are you a bad bobcat? Like, a bobcat is a bobcat, and nature knows that they're going to do whatever they got to do to survive. It does not matter how good it thinks it is. Like, I don't think the bobcat is following any sort of like moral standard religiously when it comes to its prey, whether it's a human or a rat. Do you know what I mean? And I think that in a lot of aspects of our life, we should be the same way. Not in the sense that you won't care if it's a human or a rat when it comes to your fulfillment needs in your life, but in the sense that your needs need to be met. In fact, fulfillment is on the hierarchy of needs for a reason. Aside from food, water, warmth, and rest being at the very bottom, the obvious fulfillment needs to keep us alive, Achieving one's full potential, including creative activities, is still on the pyramid. Because it's that important. It is that important. And I really believe that this is why so many people feel they're lacking fulfillment. Because on paper, they're alive, right? Like they're eating, they're drinking, they're alive, they're not sickly, they're alive. But they just feel like something is missing. And it's obviously not at the absolute bottom of their list because they're here and they're not a vegetable, they're functioning. But it's just that thing that just irks you, and it's just like, what am I missing in my life? And I think this is why the fulfillment needs are at the top, because it's not the most important thing, but it's there, and it still is important. Self-actualization needs are what is at the top, and I think so many of us try to kind of guilt ourselves, or other people guilt us into believing that this is not actually a need, and that actually we're selfish and greedy for wanting more, or other people try to make us feel guilty for wanting that sort of gluttony, for feeling this way. Because do you ever feel like, whether other people tell you this or you internally feel this way, do you ever feel guilty for wanting more because you feel like you already have so much? Why do I need more? I have so much. I have a great life. I have food on my table, a roof on my head, a nice couch to sit on. I have so much. I have friends. I have everything else on the pyramid. Why do I feel like I still need more? I think is what so many of us just feel so guilty about. It's not gluttony. It's the hierarchy of needs. You aren't selfish for wanting to be self-actualized. The people who think that that is selfish clearly doesn't know what self-actualization is. They also don't know science or psychology. They also don't know how the animal kingdom works. And they also don't know how manifestation works. Manifestation, in my opinion, is sort of like, I don't want to say witchcraft because I don't know. I got really, really into it for a while and I started getting like a bunch of really weird things happening to me. And I think it was because I was trying to take manifestation into my own power, and it's not. It's not. You need to speak something out into the world, the universe, whatever it is you believe in. Just speak it out and let it happen. Just believe that it will. You can't speak it out and then try to force it to happen. That's not how it works. You take your car to a shop and you say what's wrong. And you trust that they're going to fix the problem. You don't go in there 5 minutes after you spoke it out and then try to fix it yourself and say, I have to make this work myself. No, you don't. No, you don't. You spoke out the problem and you trust that it's going to get fixed. You spoke it out to who you knew would fix it and you let it go. And you wait. Sure, the wait might be longer than you think, but it also might be faster than you think. Or it might come right when you think. There's not really any way to say, but you just trust that it's coming. They're not going to forget. It's coming. And it's time when it's ready. I think that prayer and curses, witchcraft, are basically the same thing. I think it's kind of the example of, are you a good witch or are you a bad witch? In my opinion, a witch is a witch. So it's like, if you're casting out spells, curses, what's the difference between that and prayers? I honestly don't understand the difference. In my opinion, all of it is manifestation. And in my opinion, it all does the exact same thing. You're just talking to different beings. Which, that could make the difference who you're talking to. But the act is the same. And I think that most of us agree with one or the other. I don't think many people don't believe in either of those working. So I think that, why are we not manifesting Because I think manifesting is exactly what prayer, witchcraft, curses, spells are. I think it's all manifesting. You're just speaking to different people, different beings, sources, whatever you want to call it. Portals. I believe that why are we not manifesting what we want? Why are we not stirring that cauldron, speaking out what we want over it? Why are we not looking into the crystal ball of our own future saying, this is what I want to happen? This is who I want to turn into a frog? You know, it probably won't happen, but we can wish. I really, really believe what you put your mind to will happen. Because how many times have you put your mind towards something that you wanted so bad and it has happened? And how many times has it not happened? And how hard were you really trying the times that it didn't happen? Maybe you really wanted your ex-best friend to turn into a toad, and maybe she didn't. Maybe he didn't. But maybe that's not realistic. Because maybe this isn't hocus pocus. But maybe that wouldn't have fulfilled you if it even did happen. Maybe things that happen to us happen because we need them to. And maybe if we're calling in what we really, really need, it will happen. What we really, really want deep down. And maybe we really, really want it because it's what we need. I do believe we are very supernatural beings. And I think that whatever it is that we feel we are lacking in our life, whatever that fulfillment need is, I believe that we are fully aware of it. Maybe we don't know off the top of our head, but I believe that we are aware of what it is we're lacking. And when we speak it out, this is what I want. And you can break it down. And I want to do a lot more content on breaking down how to actually figure this out. But when we start to break it down and we start to ask for this is what I want. You'll see it start to happen. The more in touch you are with yourself, the more you'll attract what you want. I genuinely believe people turn to things like religion, whether it's a god, whether it's witchcraft, whatever religion you want to go with. I believe we turn to it because it's a lot easier to fall back on something and blame something or praise something other than ourselves. Do I believe it has power? Yes. But I believe that it has power because we give it that power. Because I believe that we ourselves are capable of anything we want to achieve. I believe that we have the power in us. And it's a lot easier to place that label on something else and say that it was because of this, it was because of that. Again, whether it's blame or whether it's praise. I think that we're scared, honestly, of the power that we have inside of ourselves. That doesn't mean that we get to fix everything ourselves, like I used that car example earlier. That doesn't mean that we have the power to fix our car when it's broken. Maybe not. But maybe we have the power to let it go and leave it in someone else's hands and trust that it's coming. It's coming. And why is it coming? Why do we know this? Because we spoke it out. We called it in. And we let it go. Do you ever go to a restaurant and order food? Who was it that ordered that order? It was you, right? Who ordered your meal. Sure, you could say that the cook made it and the waitress brought it out and yada yada. Yeah, they helped. But it wouldn't have been happening if it wasn't for you making the initial move of calling it in. You had that power. Have you ever noticed how when you speak, heads will turn to look at you? You might often feel they don't, but think about how often they do. how when you open your mouth and you start to speak, how people will turn and listen. Because you have that power inside of you. I believe we are capable of a lot more than we realize we are. And I think, it could be used for good, and it can also be used for evil. And I think the best thing you could ever invest into is yourself. Using whatever it is, whatever power you withhold, and investing it into yourself. What else is there worth investing into? Is it really worth investing it into the moon? Is it really worth investing it into a statue of Mary? Is it really worth it? Why don't you invest that energy, that time, all of that power into yourself? Overindulge into it. Overindulge into investing into yourself. Instead of overeating, that's not going to help you. Instead of over shopping, that's not going to help you. Instead of oversleeping, that's not going to help you. Instead of over drinking with your friends, that's not going to help you. Overindulge into working on yourself, because that is going to get you somewhere. That is the kind of gluttony that you want in your life. Because that type of gluttony is overindulgence of fulfillment. And how does that sound? To be just overindulged, fulfilled, overjoyed, overabundance. And this doesn't always mean that just because we're happy, it doesn't mean that everything in our life is going to line up. We might still not have a great job. We might still not have a great group of people surrounding us. We might still have a lot of things that we don't like, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally. There might be a lot of things that we don't like in our lives. But when we are fulfilled, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Everything else in your life, the things that aren't really what you want, suddenly just don't matter anymore. And what's interesting is how much you begin to attract the things that you want by simply being your best self. When you're your best self and when you're happy and when you're just straight up fulfilled, maybe you'll attract that job that you want. Maybe you'll attract people like you want in your life. Maybe you'll attract a new perspective on yourself. Maybe you'll attract a better mental, emotional state. And the best part is, it's all within your own doing. It's all within your own power to make that decision, to make that change, to make that happen. If you would like help with overindulging on investing into yourself and not overindulging onto damaging yourself, you can book a free discovery call with me. The link will be in the description below. You can also follow me on almost any social media platform at Make Waves Coach for more like this. You can also follow me on almost any social media platform at Mermaid Kassandra with a K. I'm a professional mermaid, if you don't know. It's pretty cool. You can also check out my podcast for more content like this. Make Waves, Mermaid Kassandra, every place podcasts are found. I will be back soon with more and more and more and more and more and more. And don't you worry, you can overindulge on all the content you want. Until then, go out there and make more waves. Mwah.